Picture this. You're in the middle of an argument, maybe with your partner, a friend, or even a coworker. Your voice rises, your heart beats faster, and every word feels urgent. But then you look at them, and they're just calm, almost too calm. They don't shout back, they don't match your energy, they just sit there, maybe with the faintest smile, maybe with silence, and suddenly, you're the one who feels out of control. You start to question yourself. Am I overreacting? Am I the problem here? We're taught to admire calmness. In movies, the calm character is always the wise one. In leadership books, calmness is described as the ultimate strength. And yes, there's truth to that. Calmness can be a superpower. But here's the part nobody really talks about. Calmness isn't always what it seems. Sometimes calmness is peace, but sometimes calmness is control. Sometimes it's even manipulation, used consciously or unconsciously to flip the power dynamic without saying a single word. So today we're going to look deeper into the psychology of calmness. Why calm people often hold more power than the loudest voices in the room. How silence and stillness can affect the brain like a hidden weapon. And most importantly, how you might be using calmness without realizing it. Not to connect, but to control. Because calmness isn't just about serenity, it's about influence. And the truth is, the way you handle your calm could change not only how others see you, but how they feel about themselves. Here's something fascinating most people don't know. Calmness spreads. Literally. Inside your brain, there are these tiny cells called mirror neurons. They're like little copycats. When you see someone smile, your brain wants to smile back. When you see someone yawn, suddenly you're yawning too. And when you see someone who is completely calm, your body and mind start to adjust toward that calmness, whether you want to or not. That's why when someone stays calm in a heated room, they instantly gain control. It's not just emotional, it's neurological. Everyone else begins syncing to them, like their calmness sets the emotional Wi-Fi signal for the group. And here's the whoa part. Your brain doesn't actually care if that calm is real peace or fake composure. It just reacts, it follows, which means calmness, in the right context, becomes a psychological weapon. Think about a poker table. The calmest player isn't just good at cards, they're good at hiding. They know that if they keep a straight face, everyone else will start to feel anxious. And the anxious players, they make mistakes. Calmness in that moment isn't serenity, it's strategy. Now take that out of the casino and into real life. Imagine two friends fighting. One is raising their voice, spilling out frustration. The other sits back, arms folded, speaking slowly, maybe barely speaking at all. Who feels in control? Not the loud one, the calm one. And here's something you'll recognize. Have you ever argued with someone who stayed calm the entire time, and afterward you were exhausted while they seemed untouched? That's not an accident. That's psychology at work. But here's where it gets tricky. Calmness is powerful, but power always carries risk. Because when calmness is used without awareness, it can become manipulative. You may not even realize you're doing it. For example, staying calm can sometimes invalidate other people's emotions. Imagine telling someone about your pain, and they just look at you calmly, nodding, not reacting. You might think, do they even care? That calmness doesn't feel safe. It feels cold. Or worse, it feels like superiority. Their calmness makes your emotions look childish in comparison. Suddenly, you're not just upset about the original issue, you're upset about how they made you feel for even having emotions. That's the double edge of calm. It can soothe, but it can also sting. So when people say stay calm, it's not always the full story. The truth is, calmness has layers. Sometimes it's wisdom, sometimes it's avoidance, and sometimes without us even realizing, calmness is the most subtle form of manipulation in the room. Here's something that might surprise you. Sometimes calmness isn't calmness at all. It's gaslighting in disguise. Think about the last time you got emotional with someone. Maybe you were angry, maybe you were hurt. And instead of responding with care, they looked at you, perfectly calm, and said, "Relax, you're overreacting." Sound familiar? In that moment, their calmness didn't help you feel safe. It made you doubt yourself. Suddenly, instead of focusing on what upset you, you start to wonder, am I really overreacting? Is something wrong with me for feeling this way? That's the quiet power of what I call micro-gaslighting. It's not the dramatic version you read about in toxic relationships, where someone rewrites your entire reality. It's more subtle. It's the moment when someone's extreme calmness makes you question whether your feelings are valid at all. And here's the kicker. They may not even mean to do it. Some people stay calm because they truly want to keep the peace, but the effect can be the same. Your emotions feel smaller, weaker, even illegitimate, just because they weren't mirrored back. Why does this happen? Because humans are wired for emotional resonance. When you're sad and someone responds with empathy, your brain feels recognized. But when you're sad and someone just stays calm, stone-faced, your brain panics. It doesn't find the resonance it expects, so it flips inward and says, maybe I'm wrong for feeling this way. And that right there is how calmness, whether intentional or not, can become manipulative. Let's bring it closer. Have you ever been in a fight with a partner where you were emotional and they stayed calm, too calm the whole time? And afterward, instead of resolving anything, you walked away feeling like the crazy one? That's micro-gaslighting at work, or the workplace. You're pitching an idea, passionate, explaining every angle. Your manager listens calmly. No reaction, no excitement, no frustration, just poker face calm. What happens? You start backpedaling, doubting your own idea, weakening your pitch. Their calmness didn't empower you, it made you shrink. This is where calmness crosses into dangerous territory. Because when calmness consistently invalidates, it creates a silent hierarchy. The calm one looks rational, wise, superior. The emotional one looks unstable, weak, foolish. Here's the truth bomb. Calmness isn't always the truth. Emotions aren't lies. Sometimes the loudest, rawest emotion is the most honest thing in the room. But we've been conditioned to see calmness as winning. That's the trick. That's the illusion. So next time you think, they're calm, they must be right, pause, ask, or are they just gaslighting me into doubting what I feel? Silence. It's one of the most underrated tools in psychology, and it's also one of the most unsettling. Here's the hidden truth. When someone goes silent in the middle of tension, your brain doesn't just rest. It starts racing. It fills in the gaps with the worst-case scenario. Ever text someone something emotional, confessing how hurt you were, and they just seen it? No reply. Minutes pass, hours pass. What happens inside you? You replay the message 100 times. You imagine how they're judging you. You get angry, embarrassed, ashamed. That's not silence. That's a psychological trap. The human brain hates uncertainty. In fact, research shows uncertainty can trigger more stress than actual bad news. Silence during conflict is exactly that, a space your brain rushes to fill, and usually it fills it with self-doubt. Picture an argument between friends. One is venting, words pouring out. The other, quiet, maybe arms folded, maybe just nodding. That silence, whether they mean to or not, changes the power dynamic. The talker feels smaller with every passing second. Because silence doesn't feel neutral. It feels like judgment. And here's the crazy part. Silence can make the calm person look superior, even if they don't have a single good point. They could be completely wrong. But by staying calm and quiet, they project control. They win without proving anything. It's the same trick lawyers use in court. After a witness says something emotional, sometimes the lawyer just pauses, doesn't argue, just lets the silence sit. The jury, uncomfortable, starts doubting the witness. Calm silence looks like confidence, even when it's not. Now, here's where it gets personal. Maybe you've done this. You thought staying silent was not making things worse, but later someone told you, your silence made me feel so small. That's the silent trap. And here's the twist. Sometimes people use silence deliberately. It's called the silent treatment, a manipulation tactic. Not engaging, not responding, not acknowledging. It makes the other person chase, apologize, collapse emotionally just to get a reaction. That's silence as domination. But even when it's unintentional, silence is never neutral. It always communicates something. The question is, do you want your silence to heal or to hurt? Now here's the uncomfortable question. What if you are the one using calmness as control? Most people think manipulation is intentional, but a lot of manipulation is unconscious. We do it without realizing. When you stay calm in conflict, why are you doing it? To keep peace, or because you know they'll break before you? Think back to an argument where you stayed quiet, arms folded, poker face. Did you feel a little victory when they lost their cool? Did part of you think, see, I'm rational, they're not? That's not Zen, that's strategy. We've been conditioned to equate calmness with maturity. Since childhood, don't cry, don't shout, calm down. The calm kid looks good, the emotional kid looks bad. Some of us learn to weaponize that calmness as survival. Fast forward, and you're that adult who wins every argument, not with logic, but with silence. You don't slam doors, you don't yell, you just sit there, calm. And your partner ends up apologizing, even when they had a point. Sound familiar? Here's the kicker. People who use calmness unconsciously often think they're being kind. At least I didn't yell. But if your calm makes them doubt themselves, if it makes them feel unheard, it's not kindness, it's quiet domination. Relatable moment. Have you ever thought, I'll win this text fight if I just don't reply? That's not avoiding drama, that's controlling the outcome. The digital version of calm manipulation. If calmness is your go-to defense, chances are you've hurt people with it. Not maliciously, but still. The good news? Awareness changes everything. Once you realize calmness carries this hidden edge, you can ask, am I calm to connect or to control? Because true calm isn't about making others feel small. It's about creating a safe space where emotions can exist without judgment. Anything less is just fear, pride, or power in disguise. Let's go even deeper. Because not all calmness is strength. Sometimes calmness is a trauma response. Maybe as a kid, whenever you cried, no one comforted you. Whenever you showed anger, you were punished. Your brain learned, feelings are dangerous. Shut them down. Now as an adult, you've mastered calm. People praise you, wow, nothing rattles you. But inside, it's not strength. It's numbness. Imagine a breakup. One cries, devastated. The other, calm, detached. Everyone says they handled it well, but maybe they didn't handle it. Maybe they just disconnected so deeply, they couldn't access their feelings at all. Or a funeral. One person sobs, another stands still. We call them resilient, but maybe they just can't connect with grief. This is the dark side of calm. Sometimes it's not presence, it's absence. And here's the danger. Suppressed feelings leak. Repressed anger, passive aggressiveness. Repressed sadness, numb relationships. Repressed fear, sudden anxiety. The world praises your calm, but inside you may feel disconnected from yourself, from intimacy, from joy. Because if you shut off the bad feelings, you dim the good ones too. Extreme calmness isn't always wisdom. Sometimes it's survival, sometimes it's armor. So ask yourself, is this peace or protection? True peace doesn't feel numb. True peace feels alive. It lets you cry and still feel safe, get angry and still be connected, be vulnerable and still be loved. Maybe the braver choice isn't always calmness. Maybe the braver choice is to feel. So what do we do with all of this? We've seen that calmness spreads. It can flip power dynamics. It can silence or gaslight. And sometimes it's not strength, it's scars. Here's the truth. Calmness is a tool. And like any tool, it can build or it can break. So the real question is, how do you use your calmness? If you use it to win, sure, you look strong, but you leave someone feeling small. If you use it to connect, you become the safe harbor someone else needs. That's the transformation. Calmness can either be a weapon or a shelter. True calmness isn't about shutting down emotion, it's about being steady enough to hold it, yours and theirs. Because real strength isn't staying unshaken. Real strength is sitting with someone's storm without drowning or dismissing them. So next time you feel proud of being calm, ask, am I calm because I'm at peace or because I'm in control? And if your calmness comes from old habits of shutting down, you're not broken. You're just protecting yourself the only way you knew how. Now you know better. So take your calmness, don't use it as armor, let it be presence. Don't use it as silence, let it be listening. Don't use it as superiority, let it be compassion. Because calmness isn't the absence of emotion. The highest form of calmness is the embrace of it. And maybe, just maybe, the bravest thing you can do is to let yourself feel, even while you stay calm. If this episode made you stop and think, if you saw yourself or someone you know in these stories, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment. Do you use calmness as empathy or as control? And if this kind of deep psychology and self-awareness resonates with you, make sure to subscribe, because this channel isn't just about ideas. It's about uncovering the hidden patterns that shape how we live, love, and connect. Stay calm. Stay aware, and I'll see you in the next one.